You ever have that feeling, that really specific, quiet kind of ache that doesn't scream or make a scene? I mean, from the outside, your life looks, well, it looks good, maybe even great. But privately, when you're being honest with yourself, something just feels off. Not wrong, not a disaster, just unfamiliar. Okay, let's get into what that really is because it's a very real and very human experience.
And this is the setup, isn't it? You followed the rules, you checked off all the boxes, you made the smart, sensible decisions, you became the person people could count on, someone to be respected. You really did. You built this solid, stable life that, on paper, makes all the sense in the world.
And there it is. That's the million-dollar question. After all that work, all that careful planning and building, you kind of look around at this life you've made and you feel, well, you feel this weird, quiet disconnect, like you're visiting someone else's house. That is the feeling we're going to unpack today.
So first things first, let's just validate that feeling right now. We're talking about that experience of having a life that, by every single external measure, is good, it's successful, it's stable, but for some reason, it just doesn't feel like it's yours.
This just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's the ultimate internal conflict. On paper, it's perfect. The job, the relationships, the home, it all adds up. But your spirit, that core part of who you are, feels like it can't find a place to sit down. It's like being an alien in your own perfectly decorated, totally logical life.
You know, it's almost impossible to deal with a feeling when you don't even have a name for it. So let's give this thing a name. And it's so important to get this part. This isn't some medical diagnosis. This isn't about something being wrong with you. It's just a way of describing a really profound, really common human experience.
Existential dysphoria. Let's just sit with that for a second. It's not about being a failure. In fact, it's often the opposite. It's about that gap between a functional life, one that works, and an inhabited one. A life where you actually feel present and alive and at home. And that empty space between those two things, well, it aches.
Oh, and this voice. We all know this voice, don't we? It's that voice of guilt that shows up right on cue. Because there's no obvious problem, no big crisis to point to, it's so easy to just turn all that confusion inward and blame yourself. You tell yourself, look at everything I have. I have no right to feel this way. I should be grateful.
But here is the absolute game changer. This is the permission slip you might need to hear. It is not a contradiction. You can be deeply, genuinely grateful for the stability and the safety you've built, and at the exact same time, you can be grieving the parts of yourself that you had to pack away to get there. They can exist in the same space. Both feelings are completely valid.
Okay, so how does this even happen? How do we build a whole life that we end up feeling disconnected from? Well, that brings us to a really key idea, the survival identity. It's the version of ourselves we construct just to make it through, to get by, to succeed.
Think of your life as a series of choices that fall into two big columns. On one side, you've got your survival choices. These are the practical ones, the efficient ones, the ones that society and your family and your boss all reward you for. They build a very stable life. But then you have your soul choices. These are the ones that don't always make sense. They're driven by curiosity, by desire, by that little spark of your true self. And these choices, these are the ones that build an authentic life. For a lot of us, we've been living almost exclusively in that first column for a very, very long time. And every time we make one of those survival choices, we're making a tiny trade. We're kind of editing ourselves. Maybe you traded that playful curiosity for a ruthless efficiency that got you the promotion. Or you traded your natural softness for a hard shell of competence. You traded your weirdness for being acceptable. You buried your longings under layers and layers of responsibility. And all those little trades, they add up.
And the result is this. It's such a powerful way to put it. Your outer life, it all makes sense. It's a solid, coherent building. But your inner life, the part of you that holds all that weirdness and longing and curiosity, it feels like it has nowhere to go. It's essentially homeless inside the very structure you built to keep it safe.
So that brings us to the big question. What now? If this is you, what do you do? Well, the good news is, the answer isn't to get a bulldozer. It's not about a dramatic, burn-it-all-down overhaul. It's actually something much quieter, much more gentle. It's the art of inhabitation. Look, that life you built, it has real value. It probably kept you safe, it gave you stability, and that's not nothing. So the goal isn't to destroy it. The goal is to learn how to actually live in it, to move back into the rooms of your own life and start redecorating, start making them feel like your own again.
So how do you even start? Please don't look at this like another to-do list you have to ace. Think of it as just an invitation. It starts small. You tell the truth in tiny ways, maybe just to yourself at first. You notice what gives you a little flicker of energy for no good reason. You give yourself permission to want something completely illogical. All you're doing is gently, slowly, making a little bit more room for the parts of you that have been politely waiting in the wings for a very long time.
And let's just end on this thought right here. We always think growth means we have to become someone totally new, a different person. But what if? What if the next chapter isn't about a massive transformation? What if it's just about becoming reachable, to yourself again? Just clearing away some of the noise so you can finally hear your own voice. The goal was never just to build a life, but to actually inhabit it, to be able to sit quietly inside of it and feel, yeah, I'm here. This is mine.